is ideally suited to. Media. Well, with online backup, there is no media to have to worry about. So the risks associated with misplaced media, which have been some of the leading causes of embarrassing data breach events over the last few years, are simply not present when it comes to online backup. There is no media to be concerned about, to be managed, to be rotated. Recovery. With traditional hardware-based backup solutions, recovery is quite a nightmare. Anybody who's had to do a full environment recovery from tape knows that can take several days. Whereas with online backup, the data is immediately available. So you've got real-time access to your data. Your recovery window collapses from days to minutes. You can log into a browser from any PC and get at that data. In fact, you can log in from your iPhone and get at that data. Security. With hardware-based backup, typically security is overlooked. It's all on premises, so encryption's not very prevalent in the solutions. I don't want to say it's never present because it is in some solutions, but it's not in most. Whereas with online backup, all of the industry services, particularly SOS as service, has been designed from the ground up to be highly secure. So we've got banks and government customers, military customers that all demand an extremely high level of security. And SOS has got it baked in from the ground floor. Your data is actually encrypted 3 times prior to being stored. Question here from Richard. If I back up my iPhone, can I back up my iPad? Yes, you can, Richard. Access the data, going back to the slide. With hardware-based backup, the only people who can access the data is the IT department. Whereas with online backup, all of the users can actually access their data naturally without having to punch an IT ticket, which is a big productivity boost both for the users and for the IT department, who no longer have to worry about doing recoveries of user-based data. So how common, the very common IT support ticket of, I lost this email, can you please recover it for me, goes away because the user can now recover that email themselves. Management. A lot of time goes into managing and running traditional backup solutions, whereas with online backup, you don't need IT staff for it. It's set and forget software. It's very simple. And then cost. As we saw 2 slides ago, hardware-based solutions are at least double the cost of an online backup solution. So you've got far greater protection of data at a far more affordable price point. But then still looking at margin and revenue for a reseller, online backup provides up to 60% gross margin on a recurring revenue stream. So all of that nets that we here at SOS are focused on trying to convert backup from a pain point for your customers and a cost center for you in your business and convert it to both a sales and a profit center for you. Question from Mike, does SOS do all the work of connecting, or does SOS do the set and forget? Not quite sure what you mean, Mike. When you install SOS's product and configure it, that's all you need to worry about. After that, it will take care of the backups every day automatically. Feel free to post a follow-up question if that didn't answer. All right, so talking a little bit about the move to online backup, just from an economic standpoint, one of the most common questions we get in these presentations is, have I missed the bus? Is it too late for me to get into this? And so the rough answer is no, and the more detailed answer is, backup as a whole is a $10 billion industry per year. That's between hardware, software, and services, consumer, small business, and enterprise. So there's 9 different elements to it. Online backup is widely agreed going to take anywhere from 60 to 80% of market share. So it's going to be a $6 or $8 billion a year industry. Today, the industry is less than $1 billion. So we're looking at an industry that's going to grow to being 5 or 6 times larger than it is today. So now is a wonderful time to be getting into the market. We're seeing rapid adoption of online backup among small businesses and what I call micro businesses, and we're seeing pretty rapid adoption among consumers as well. So there's quite a fast movement in the industry toward online backup. So it's an excellent point to get into the game. The technology has been proven. It's no longer just an early adopter technology, but we are nowhere near saturation. So let's skip through and actually look at the product itself. And this is where we usually have most questions. So feel free to dive in with questions at any time about the product. At a high level, our product roadmap is architected around 4 key concepts: protect, access, share, and manage. We'll take each in turn. Protect is about hardcore backup and recovery. So we aim to have the best online backup and recovery service on the web. Access is about, now that your data is in our cloud, how can we give you ways to use that data? So in the screenshot, you can see an Android phone and an iPhone and a laptop. Here from my iPhone, I can search 5 years of files from 8 different PCs that I've got on my machine, and I get real-time access to that data. I'm not aware of any other technology that lets me do that. So it's quite a powerful access and data access platform. Share, this is referring to, well, now that I have my data in the cloud, how can I get it out to colleagues at work or friends and family at home? And then manage, this refers to the challenge addressed by having hundreds and hundreds of computers out there running your backup app. So as we roll out your rebranded software, you're going to have hopefully thousands of customers backing up with it. How do you manage that little network of your private cloud? Well, that's with our Pulse management product, which lets you control all of those nodes remotely. So we're going to look at each feature in turn, but I'll start with our infrastructure. So we have 11 data centers around the world, primarily in North America, both in Canada and the United States, but also in Australia, India, the United Kingdom, also in Europe. There is the ability for you to specify where your data would stay. So if you're interested in having your data stay in Australia or say in Canada, for example, then you can specify that. I won't talk about every single feature. I'd recommend you go to our website and have a look at it in detail there, but I'll talk about my favorite features. Continuous data protection. So one of the things you'll find with most backup tools is that they don't have CDP built in at all. You'll usually have to license an additional module to get CDP. What do I mean by CDP? I mean a product with an intelligent watchdog which will detect exactly when a file changes and only back up what changed. SOS has got this built in out of the box, so you don't need to license anything else. One of the questions I get a lot is, well, doesn't Mozy do that? And the answer is no. What Mozy does is it runs all the time on your system and just schedules itself for every 5 or 10 minutes, which is a constant resource hog and isn't CDP at all. Unlimited computers to the right. One of the things our competitors do is they make you pay per seat. So with Mozy, I believe it's $3.95 per month you have to pay just to connect the user to the network. So if you have a small business with 100 computers, you've got to pay $4,800 a year without backing up a single byte of data. With SOS, licenses are completely free. So you can see in this screenshot, this user's got 6 PCs connected to his SOS account, which is very useful in, say, a small business environment because you can manage all of your recovery from one central location, and also very useful for consumers. So being able to back up your entire family, for example, with one product. Question here from Kyle. Good afternoon. I haven't had a chance to review all the documentation on the website yet. We're looking at replacing iBackup after finding out it does not support bare metal system restore with Windows Server 2008. They don't handle system state data in Server 2K8 properly. Does SOS Backup allow for this? Secondly, does SOS allow for brick level backup exchange? Lastly, is SQL backup supported? Lots of questions there, Kyle. We don't do bare metal restore. In fact, none of the online backup companies do. I'll talk about why in a second. Do we back up brick level for exchange? Yes, we can do that. Lastly, is SQL backup supported? Yes. So bare metal. The problem with bare metal and the problem with disk images in general is that there's an enormous amount of junk inside an image you simply do not want to back up over the wire. So what we recommend you do is you actually have a disk imaging solution as well as have an online backup solution. The problem with online backup today is still bandwidth. You're talking about, when you're talking about your baseline upload, it can take days and even sometimes weeks. So pushing an entire disk image over the wire is really not recommended. It can, because with a disk image, the amount of actual data that needs to be backed up is often as little as 10 or 20% of the total file size. Backing up a full disk image over the wire really just doesn't work with today's internet connections. So going back to some of the features, global roaming access. I've sort of alluded to this already, as well as access on iPhone. But from any internet-connected device, I can get all my data, I can share my data, I can share and access all the different versions of my data. So literally here from my iPhone, I can see all 6 of my PCs. And I'm not aware of any other technology that lets me index all my computers in real time and get access to that data, but I can do that with SOS. Free integrated local backup. So with our backup tool, we've actually got a full local backup system built in. So if you want to do full backups daily or weekly to a NAS or to the network or to an external hard disk drive, you can do that right out of the box. So you don't need to run 2 backup tools. You've got a local backup tool and an online backup tool within one product. We've talked a little bit about the security. Physical media upload, so this refers to your ability to seed the backup by giving us a hard disk with all the data you want uploaded, and we'll do that initial baseline upload for you. Powerful recovery. This really makes most sense when combined with unlimited versioning, so I'm going to start there. SOS keeps an unlimited version history for any given file. So if you have a file that's changing every single day for a year, we're going to have 365 versions of that file. 2 years, we're going to have 700 odd versions of that file. Compare that to what Mozy does, where they keep the last 30 versions of your file. And the SOS experience is a far more powerful experience because it really turns your backup tool into a time machine. You can roll back your data to see what your taxes look like on April 15th of last year, for example, if that's what you want to do. And this is one of our number one selling features, is the fact that we keep an unlimited version history. But it does create some complexity, and that complexity is that for a given user, you might easily have thousands of versions of a given file that need to be recovered. So how do you manage that complexity? Well, you do it with our recovery wizard, which, as you can see in this screenshot, is timeline-based. So I can roll back to any given point in time and select which date at which I want to see my backup set in the cloud and recover as of that date. And SOS under the hood figures out which version of which file we actually need to get to recover you back at that point in time, which is an extremely powerful system. It's similar to Apple's Time Machine, but we're doing it to the cloud. And Apple has trademarked Time Machine, so we can't actually call it that. I'm just going to, in a second, I'll actually demonstrate what I'm talking about. So going back to from current slide. So in terms of other features, I should talk about archiving. So one of the sort of hidden secrets of the online backup industry is that most online backup companies do not archive your data. What do I mean by that? Well, if you take, for example, what Mozy and Carbonite do, and I don't mean to pick on them, but they are two of the best known products in the space. When you delete a file from your PC, they then delete that file from the cloud. The reason being is that if they were to keep that file, it would no longer be a backup file, it would be an archive file. The problem with that approach is that we've discovered that more than 60% of single file recoveries from our product come from accidental file deletion. In other words, customers are deleting files all the time when they don't mean to be. And so